Yesterday's march tells us many things. It tells us that we are a bit bloodthirsty in this country, that when you have a peaceful demo, it's not as newsworthy as when there's stone throwing and people being killed, even if the issues are as pertinent. I don't know whether I think it's very good to mark those who died. I expected more about the lives that were lost. I expected to hear more citizen voice. I found, whereas I prefer this to the stone throwing, I was still like, our politicians need to listen to the people.
Yep.
Our politicians still occupy the space for the people. And as long as that happens, our fundamental issues will go unaddressed. So even if Raila, and it's good that Ruto has reached out, and we imagine that Raila's advisors, I hope will tell him to go, because Raila is also out of options, because I think the country is slowly turning against the idea of quote-unquote violent riots where people die.
Which part of the country are you referring to, Wanjiru?
I'm saying a lot, even supporters of Raila. Because I think there are many people who supported the demos because they were angry about the tax bill, the Finance Act. But when they saw the human collateral, the tide began to turn against that. So I imagine that the Azimio team are thinking, what are our options to push pressure? Ruto, unlike Uhuru Kenyatta, doesn't own big businesses that you can call an economic boycott, because that was very effective in bringing Uhuru Kenyatta to the table in 2017, if you recall. Then what are the other? They haven't been effective in Parliament. We were missing in action with the finance bill discussion. So what are his options? And to me, I hope they are going to regroup and look at, they need to get back into the opposition. We don't have an opposition. We're on the streets. I think Azimio has been outplayed on this one. But the issues are still pertinent. But then maybe my last reflection is Azimio's interests are their own political survival. It is not the Kenyan interest. And we need to recognize that Kenyan interests still need to be discussed.
Those ones are still on the table.
Still pending.
And they may not even, actually, they're still pending. They may not be, they may not get to the table. Whatever the table may be. And I think I agree as well. I hope that one of these days, when they start penning their memoirs, Ruto and Raila will actually tell us what I have believed for a while to be the truth, that they spoke a long time ago, that this whole journey that we've been through is to sanction what they agreed on a long time ago.
Why explain to me? I really don't understand why Kenyans always imagine that, because this was, a lot of Kenyans said, yes, Uhuru all along had planned for Ruto to win.
No.
And they had a deal, and that's why things went the way they went. And they didn't put the money, they mismanaged their Azimio campaign, whatever. That is why this was the plan. Now here you are, conspiracy theorist, saying despite all that we are seeing, there's a deal between Ruto and Raila. But because they knew the fallout and how it comes out. Denialism.
They knew the outcome of a quick resolution to it
would be
you have lost your base. I mean, surely again, you quickly go and shake hands again without any proper conversation around it. You basically have sold us out to all their support bases.
So Ruto is like, go ahead, destabilize the economy, force Kenya to lose its ranking in the financial markets. Every day, those demonstrations were going on.
Those rankings have been going down despite the maandamano. How many maandamanos are we talking about? 20 of them. The rankings were going down because of our economic situation, which has not has slightly just been exacerbated by the maandamano.
Slightly?
Yes.
Have you seen
slightly.
the way where, this country needs to be backed up in terms of foreign investment. Foreign investments needs political stability.
Yes.
So why would Ruto,
Foreign
in which scheme, speak to Raila and tell him, destabilize this political economy so that these foreign investors that I'm calling in can come? It's not going to happen.
We're not talking about small-time foreign investors who are coming to open kiosks.
Yes.
The big-time foreign investors
who
were
don't
meeting
care.
here.
Who don't care if
They met here in AmCham conference and they discussed. The Minister for Trade has been holding meetings here in this country with big-time foreign investors who think big-term investment, long-term investment.
Have you not?
Those conversations by big-time investors have still been going on.
Yes.
Because
Even with the Mandamano.
Because they have a long-term view. And they have a long-term view.
Exactly.
Not somebody who wants to open at Mayai business downtown.
It's not about eggs. And stop deriding egg farmer, small-time egg farmer. Very important. I get my eggs from small-time. Yeah, that's big business.
But Wanjiru,
you're not listening to Suluhu. Why is she looking at Kenya? Because our foreign investors, after they come here and they canvass Kenya, they see Maandamano, they cross over to Tanzania. FDI is going up.
Actually, interesting. That's a good question.
You honestly believe that somebody who is seeking to invest hundreds of billions of shillings, right, over many years, has done research, has decided Kenya is a good prospect,
good destination,
would make a decision in 2 weeks to say, no, let's go and register in Tanzania. It's a decision that's just made whimsically like that. So when Suluhu says, wale wanachoma kwao, watu wameanza kuja hapa, you actually think it's a big move of big billions of dollars that were coming into this country.
I get it. You're being sarcastic with this question.
No. But do you remember there was a time it was being said, because there were conferences being held in Kigali, Kenya is losing out on this, this tourism that has to do with conferencing. Kigali is a wonderful destination for conferences. The capacity that Kenya has is much, much larger, just capacity, than that of Rwanda. So much as you may want to hold a conference, if you want a conference of a certain size, you are rather limited in East and Central Africa. It's just a simple fact. So I'm saying there are common narratives that people like. Essentially, they are common myths.
Yes.
Okay? But if you look at the reality, has Google moved its headquarters from Nairobi?
Or have you heard them saying, we are scouting, we're actually talking to Rwanda to move our headquarters?
Have you heard?
Has Microsoft done that?
Nations have decided they're going to move headquarters from Nairobi.
To Tanzania.
Right. So, the fact of the matter is there are many criteria that come into investment destinations. One is predictability of the political environment.
Yes.
Protection of property.
Yes.
Also stability of the fiscal environment.
Yes.
So our tax regime has also posed a problem.
Yes.
And then governance.
Actually,
because we've heard of investors, and I'm saying these go together. We've heard of investors who've tried to come into Kenya and have been unable to come into Kenya because they refuse to pay.
Yes.
And there's one example of the investment in KQ. Where the investor, I think it's the Emirates, it might be Qatar, wanted to come into Kenya. But the shenanigans around that investment were too much. They said, you guys, get your act together, we are going to Rwanda, which is a big loss. There are lots of companies. I mean, Kenya has been deindustrializing because so many countries pulled out over the last 10 years because of cost of living issues. But when you talk about the political uncertainty, it's not the last 2 weeks. I think it's been, 6 to 8 weeks.
The last 10 years.
Yes, it is, exactly.
Okay,
they
it's
look
the last
at
10 years. So coming back to my point, so that you don't take over my point and make it yours. My point,
yes.
My conspiracy theory.
That one.
Remember, that's where
where we are conspiracy
The conspiracy theory here is that to sanitize this handshake, you are going to ask us to shake hands. Are you not doing that now?
That one I can agree.
Very good.
It is how do we calm things down without losing face?
Yes.
That one I can agree.
How do we shake hands?
Yes.
And it doesn't appear like we called each other in the middle of the night and agreed, let's go in and marked cars to Harambee House and shake hands.
Yes.
right?
That one I can agree.
Everybody is now telling them, shake hands,
yes.
shake hands,
yes.
shake hands. We're here, all right? Unfortunately, it's collateral to politicians. Some 1-2 lives is collateral. Unfortunately, some 1-2 people who are getting out of business because their business was torched and razed to the ground, collateral. Unfortunately, that's the sad bit.
Yeah, that one I agree.
Yeah.